Welcome back, folks, and thank you for joining us as we get into our fourth match of the day. It's going to be TookTheKids taking on Karn Co. These are two teams with, to put it maybe lightly, two very different, trajectories on their stage so far. We'll start with TookTheKids. This team, besides a recent 7-4 loss to One Shot, which is a formidable team, they've been hot cookies.
A recent? Oh yeah, I was about to say, we don't talk about that. Let's not talk about the loss to One Shot. Let's talk about how they beat ATK yesterday. After we thought ATK was like, we thought they were that team.
Mm-hmm.
It took them behind the woodshed, took them out like garbage, just like that. It was off stream, of course. So did it really actually happen?
Yes.
I don't know. Of course, I've talked earlier when we had the overall arching stat leaderboard up. DPA and Tragical are two of the best slayers in the league at this juncture. They're not the best, not undisputedly, but they're up there. And Mr. B in this matchup today against Carnage B, who's the better B? That's what we're about to find out today. And Mr. B he can take that old head and replace him with the new age today. It's gonna be amazing.
Well, we haven't been calling him Carnage Biblical. We haven't been calling him Carnage Bill Dipperly. So
nope.
I mean, the better B so far, I think it's on the side of TookTheKids. Now, Karn Co, they had a must-win game yesterday. And what did they do?
They lost.
Yeah.
The Outlast. And there was, to put that game bluntly, it was rough. That was a messy game that Karn Co made a lot of massive mistakes. And for a team like Karn Co that you would expect to be good, this is a team that was pretty unanimously thought was going to be a competitor. This is going to be like a top 16. This is going to be a team that, Karn Co, they're going to do well. They did well in the T3 leagues and preseasons. They brought on new people. They looked good in the first couple of games, and all of a sudden, poof, it's all gone. They seem lost, and it hurts. It hurts. It's like tough love because you want them to succeed, but right now they're just fighting themselves.
Yeah, every time you see those names pop up, you're like, these are the guys you like. They're fan favorites. You do not want to see them go down, but down is pretty much all they've done so far. CJ, TookTheKids, like we said, they've looked so good. What about them have you liked? What have been your thoughts on this team?
What haven't they done, Grim?
I don't know.
I guess the only thing they haven't done is just absolutely slap people. They haven't put it together for the full 12 rounds of their games. The games have been close, but otherwise every game there's a Mr. B clutch. There's a Tragical clutch. There's Tragical running in slamming people. It's just like, I mean, TPA again, like him and Tragical are like dynamic pair.
Fraudage B.
And again, when I say Fraudage B, Mr. B brings fresh ideas. His team is constantly making me go, wow, they really just do that? Karn's team is doing the same thing as if it was 2017, bro. Like, at some point, it's like Mr. B is the real B. It's crazy, but this could be a really defining game in Mr. B's career. And Karn's, this could be like, see that, if you talk about their trajectories, Karn's going here, Mr. B and TookTheKids are here. Like, that all happens today, right now.
Yeah, and you said Karn Co stagnancy.
Like Kansas City.
My point. It's first. It's on top. It's a big one. Time to ditch the shields and bring the guns. Come to the new age. Come to the new meta. Quit playing the old style of Siege that isn't working anymore. Please. And one of the biggest things, the absolute I don't even know how to describe it. Just the biggest example of what we saw yesterday was the fact that there was 4 rounds of Karn Co's attacks that they did not enter the building. They did not get in. They died to Tra and Woos trying to all enter one at a time with no drone and just die over and over again. Just follow a drone, play the game simple, get your guns ready, get your guns up, because that Outlast team was struggling on defense. They were struggling. Their strats looked lost at times. But man, oh man, did they look like they had a Sonics in their prime, Oregon Steel Curtain, can't get in the building defense.
Well, speaking of map control, that was one of your points there. Cookies, you have to think TookTheKids is in control with this map veto.
Apparently so. Karn's team plays like they have a 500-pound dump in their pants. They look scared. They look helpless. Especially on Villa yesterday, which is why they insta-ban him. And the thing is, we know they're better than that. We know, if it was ranked, those guys were ranked, they would be crazy. But they look petrified. Skyscraper, chalet, cafe. TookTheKids, I wouldn't say they have the most intricate map pool. The most crazy thing about their map pool is actually Theme Park, where they beat a really strong Aerial Rise team. And as far as I'm concerned, Theme Park is dangerously close to getting played right now. It's in the bottom 2 bands. Are we going to go there?
Can we do it?
It's a clubhouse or a theme park.
If Karn's team doesn't ban theme,
we've seen club. We've seen club today. We don't need to go there. It's
probably going to be club because Karn's team has to ban.
It has to be. If they take him to theme park, I don't know how to feel like. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
The safe choice, but I guess you could say Karn Co, their best showings this season were all on Clubhouse. However, TookTheKids, they do very similar stuff to what we saw with Outlast, where we're gonna see people running around Tragical and TPA, full court pressing in strip club and stuff like that, trying to stop the entries. And if Karn Co don't just attack properly and use their drones, they need a financial advisor for their drone economy right now. It's been rough, to say the least.
You got to say though, Connor, you got to say that managing to get Clubhouse out of this was probably the best that Karn Co was gonna maybe hope for. One of the best scenarios that they could hope for.
I can agree. I think it's still going to be a very, very tough game. And considering you have a team that's on the upswing and is now fresh off of a victory against ATK, who everybody thought was the next top dog, coming up against Karn Co is a team in a massive slump, 4 straight regulation losses. CJ, I see that you're also not a believer in the Carnage basketball system right now.
I've picked them so many times this stage. Been disappointed each time. So at this point,
well, don't be disappointed because you've picked the winning team now. You've picked the winning team finally.
The jersey is just, I'm crumpling it up and I'm throwing it garbage.
Is it doused in lighter fluid too, followed by a match?
I'm gonna set it on fire today if they lose to Mr. B. But Mr. B, let me tell you, I watched the guy come in from T3. This is his moment. He's been waiting for this. He's been waiting all his life for this moment.
This is the battle for the letter. Out of 26 letters, they both have B.
If there was another,
they're both IGLs.
If there's another cookie somewhere and I played him and he was reeling and I could come in and put my boot in his hind end, you bet I would. That's how Mr. B feels right.
Okay, now Cookies, I believe I asked you this question earlier today with the other matchup that we had on Club. Is this a club now where you see TookTheKids? Are they just going to play this as vanilla as they can?
Absolutely
is this going to be a basic club and just shut it down?
No. If you thought the previous games today were entertaining, start popping another batch of popcorn because you're going to see.
Okay.
You're going to see some stuff that makes you go, really? They just did that? It's going to be exciting, and Karn's team better be ready for it, or it's
oil pit shield bad, baby.
Yeah. Get ready.
Well, okay, I am ready. I got my pizza here. I got my Coca-Cola. I'm all set up to watch this match. Now all I need is for the casters to do all the talking so I can do the eating and the enjoying.
Yep. Let's go.
CJ, if you gave us the most mid-game of all time by cursing it with your hype, I'm going to be so furious with you after this game, depending on what happens. But then again, it might... Listen, I know everyone was saying, Mr. B, oil pit shield, maybe we'll see something epic here. But at the same time, Connor brought up a very salient point, in that Karn Co struggle to enter the building. More importantly, even know where the opening of the building is, because their droning has been so abysmal. John, TTK love overtime, but if Karn Co aren't going to drone... perhaps OT will even escape TTK.
I mean, they beat ATK, also known as Wichita Wolves, in regulation in 7-5. So maybe we're not going to need to see overtime here, even against Karn Co, but we could also be proven wrong. The bans look fairly normal so far. Habana, Thatcher, Maverick is available to do the regular Maverick tricking things. We're gone, like I had mentioned, so we're not going to see the exact same extensions that we had last time Clubhouse was in play today on stream, and the final ban being that Valkyrie. So still a huge emphasis on the util game for the defense, and boom, off the bat, Xeno's gone. 45. Easy for TTK. It's like, what do we say here? We just got lobby.
Anyways, I have basement. So we're on basement. Woo, we're on basement. So, yeah, we haven't really seen much. I mean, we saw, I talked about mid. We saw the most mid ban phase of all time.
Yep.
Ivana, Thatcher, Mira Valk. So, incredible. Unsurprisingly, we will also have to, not unsurprisingly for that, hold on. We'll have to rehost the lobby, unfortunately. So, unsurprisingly, given that fact, we will throw it to a quick break. Then we'll be back with, hopefully, an uninterrupted session of Karn Co versus TookTheKids. Well, everybody, you missed it. Xeno apologized for DCing for the game, and I humbly accept his apology. Because now we can get back into it. Same site, same ops, as you could obviously anticipate. John, I do think, if I recall correctly, I feel like there was some game where somebody actually tried to pull like a fast one and they brought a different op. It might have been TTK during like a CL game one time. I can't remember. Either way, no surprises here. We can talk about basement this lineup.
I think the only surprise is if maybe Karn will be able to drone effectively. I know that, during the desk, Connor mentioned the general style of how Karn Co plays needs to be changed, but also the basics that kind of involve just how you play on the round in general needs to be changed too. Again, the lack of droning, that's just it. Droning in general has just been such a basic in R6. If you cannot self-enable yourself to just enter the building, get a kill here and there potentially, or at least just make good headway on the round, you're not going to accomplish much. And with TTK being a very innovative team for a lot of their rounds, I mean, it could be a lot to derail the system of Karn Co altogether. So this is going to be a very sought-after matchup here, and maybe a potential moment of hope for Karn Co. Perhaps. I talked about Salvation a lot in the Nocturnes matchup, and I feel like that moniker kind of fits into this match as well between TTK and Karn.
Sadly, no C4 for Mr. B as he sends it out towards the garage door, and it goes wide. Doesn't even get Feltwinter's drone. So Feltwinter can move in for free, and actually, I thought he was about to drop Oil Pit for a second. I was very confused. I was like, wow, he's taking this one quick. But he is not. Instead, they will try to do some more droning, try and hunt down Nice, playing inside of Secret right now. Quite a few drones, actually. I believe 3 total were all looking his way. Only takes down 1, and Feltwinter will retake that position fairly quickly. Looking for maybe an early engagement with the Jaeger. He will have to be careful, of course. Walking into the belly of the beast early on might not be the best tone to start things out on, but that instead, Mikey caught lacking. That's probably even worse than Feltwinter just sending it down blue stairs.
And trying to change off the skeleton key onto his actual rifle. Bit too many times, button mashing it, and it costs him his life. Pretty unfortunate loss there as well. He wasn't able to do all that much vertical play besides, I believe, just directly inside of kitchen. And again, that's still TTK with the advantage. And mostly playing for this anchor game, having the numbers advantage as well is going to be quite impactful for them. They've got all this util stacked up, the ADSs and magnets. They've got the toxic smokes as well. And a second kill as Triss will land a clean headshot on a Xeno. I mean, everything is just looking fantastic for TTK for this next minute 10.
I mean, to be fair, they have entered the building, which is something that, literally speaking, we said they struggled with yesterday. So they have at least done a little bit more. But beyond that, it's been a struggle and a half. Whitlock uses not 1, not 2, but all 3 of his Selma charges to try to pull a fast one on that hatch to bypass the Cade Claw. It doesn't work, and now Feltwinter, who's been sitting blue stairs pretty much the entire round, is now about the only one who can start opening things up. Nice, despite that pressure, gets both prongs of the attack sent to clear him out. And if you were going into today hoping for a palate cleanser as a Karn Co fan, I think you might have to wait another round to hope that'll happen.
Well, maybe he could walk through all 3 smokes and find
Maybe
4 in 15 seconds.
he could
it's possible.
walk through all of
he's
them.
got motor to work with, so that changes up the whole dynamic. Just kidding. Triss is not going to miss those, and a flawless round goes the way of TookTheKids in the first round of play. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, at least Karn Co cranked up the notch there on their drone game from a, negative to a 10. Might have been a bit overkill, and because of that, the end game drone economy was non-existent, forcing some really sloppy end game positions there by Karn Co. But they're slowly changing. And, at some point, there's an option for them to go for a timeout, giving them more time to communicate better, have more time to breathe. So that's just more or less a feeler round, I would hope, for Karn Co. And maybe that can allow them to be a bit better when attacking gym and bedroom for round 2, Carter.
That is true. I did I started off with a negative note, went for the easy one, but it was just one round. Still could find something. Though, as I did say earlier, basement in confounding fashion, NCL is actually the worst defensive site. Again, I literally have no idea how that is, and how CCTV of all sites is the highest defensive win rate, but hey, things happen. Sometimes they don't always have the easiest explanation or the most readily available one. Gym bedroom here is about a solid middle road between the two, and TTK won't try to switch things up too much. They full reinforce CCTV. They have Mr. B on the frost, maybe playing behind a shield inside a construction. He hasn't actually put it down yet, so as I was about to say, could also put it red. That's what he'll do. So they've pushed pretty far out. We'll see how Karn Co try to deal with what is effectively a defense of the entire top floor.
Well, I was just going to make a point about Nice, but I guess I'm not going to have to because he's already dead from the hands of Michael Lee. Mikey, for short.
How?
I don't even know. I
Did
was
he
trying
kill
to
him through the drone hole?
I think he did. Yeah, that would make sense. Maybe repelling for a kill hole. Yeah, it's been confirmed by 2 separate people in the background. So thanks, guys, for that. That's unfortunate for not Nice, because I was going to make a point of how effective he can be now in this Jaeger position just in general terms of fragging, but he's already on camera duty. So a much better start already after a round of unfortunate series of unfortunate events, for Karn Co. Much better off the bat.
Certainly so. Not a lot of utility dealt away with, but still some control. Also info on the Malusi pushing up main. Unfortunately, Mikey struggling a lot with that engagement. Doesn't even do a single little bit of damage to Tragical, and somehow ends up losing the fight and no trade, despite about 2 teammates all being in close proximity. A big misplay by Karn Co in the early round, and while mitigating a lot of the damage done by losing Nice early on, and even to an extent the breach being open.
Seems like Karn Co are slowing down a whole lot in terms of a general pacing. They were coming out of the gate swinging, and now they're being a bit more methodical, but normally it tends to not be all that well to slow down a whole lot from this current position. They've got the nades to potentially find a little bit more leeway in this round, but so far they're not going to connect onto anything except a couple pieces of wood on the actual ceiling itself. A minute to go. Tragical is still playing underneath for this round game. If he ends up finding more than just that one kill we saw earlier in round 2, this could be a huge opening to bring back that advantage in the way of TTK.
Xeno, knowing that their team doesn't have a lot going for them, beside that jacuzzi breach opened up, will sneak his way up main, try and work this angle. Karn with the nade down below makes things a little bit easier too. Xeno now doesn't have to do as much work worrying about as many angles. Another nade sent out. Mr. B was standing in about that area, but he's rotating between there and logistics, but finally Felwinter just sends it on in, taking even a bit more control than the Finka, but smoked by Tragical as the Malusi quick peeks out of logistics. Mr. B doesn't even really have to take this fight at this point. It's incumbent on Xeno to make the play, but Mr. B still takes it, he still swings and ends up losing it, but everyone is holding their ground. Some might be giving up angles, but TTK, their 2 remaining defenders hold fast, but finally once Xeno takes a fight, he cuts down Tragical and TPA. Took a while to get going, but finally, once the Finka crests the top of main stairs, gets the 2 kills to give Karn Co their first win.
Having a couple of defenders just kind of swing at Xeno as well. Out of all the weapons to have to go in that 1-for-1 gunfight, I would probably not want to be the person trying to swing against Xeno when he's got a fully loaded LMG with 100+ bolts that all deal a massive amount of damage. And it wasn't even a requirement. We had the player up near Logi, for example. There was a nice tag team by the person as well, looking through the master doorway, kind of between both Logi and master room. And the push outright from both Jacuzzi and the person on, the main CC balcony, it was just not really like too enforcing. It was pretty lackadaisical in all honesty. So TTK just getting a little too hyper aggressive there at the very end. Did cost them the round overall, but good adjustment by Karn Co, and still able to get around nonetheless is something they will desperately need continuing on through the rest of this first half.
Maybe the round goes differently if Nice is on the board. We'll see maybe a couple different positions played. If Nice is actually allowed to exist in the lineup. Not as much of a burden felt by players like Tragical to make something happen on the roam, though he certainly threw Karn Co for a loop, so we might still see him go for that play downstairs anyway, and hopefully the attack expects it if he does so. Instead, we'll see actually a lot of players spawn over by CCTV side as opposed to strip like they did previously, so instead, John, Karn Co changing things up completely.
Not a bad idea. Don't have to worry about that kind of proxy effect you tend to see if you leave most of that cache extension room just kind of uncontested. So not the worst idea, and if it weren't for the fact that Xeno was able to win a lot of those heads-up gunfights, that could have still been a round win for TookTheKids, so it doesn't seem like Karn Co want to take that risk just yet. Already opening up the plat wall and having someone apply some pressure over near the top of Raptors as well. It's going to be Feltwinter's job on the Ash. So a pretty good start so far, and they've already burned through a fair chunk of this utility as well. So everything going according to plan so far for Karn Co. They just need to at least guarantee either A, the fallback, or B, a couple of kills in these next few moments.
Certainly have their work cut out for them if they can escape from this, not only with their lives, but time as well, as Mr. B is entrenched behind a fortress of utility inside of Cache, along with some support on red stairs as well, who could just burn as much drones and as much time as he wants to until Karn Co make the first move, put some of that first utility down to push him out from that position. Taha also layering the red door with some magnets. One finally activated. We'll find some utility, we'll find some destruction, but Feltwinter still not finding much as he peeks, takes a look inside a cache, but the frost evades his sight ever so slightly. They now start moving in as Nice falls to Mikey 2 rounds in a row, though under much different circumstances this time. Xeno and Feltwinter both waiting to move in, but Mr. B cuts down the Ash, and now the Finka moves in to try to fill the gap left behind. The Wamai put on the floor. The Frost almost down as well. No! He misses all of those shots. How do you whiff that with so many chances? Whitlock compensates for it, and it's still Karn Co, despite the sloppiness, in the lead. But Tragical trying to make a comeback also whiffs his fight. That leaves Trist alone in the 1v3.
So much to try to accomplish here on the lone mute, especially after that flank had just not found a singular soul. Trist low on HP, his position well known, and there are several attackers approaching in on him, giving a second round in a row for the side of Karn Co. It seemed like they were incredibly complacent, trying to go in for that actual clear near both the top of red and the side of Cache Room, but eventually, we had TookTheKids once again just overswing a couple of times. They weren't too comfortable going for that fallback, so instead they played there to die, and well, die they eventually did by the hands of mostly the LMG and the Maverick of Carnage, trying to, or at least succeeding in landing a couple of vital shots, and the same cannot be said for TookTheKids. Now taking this advantage, but at least they get to go back to the one site they've already won, that being Church and Arsenal for round number 4.
Speaking of Mikey, who got the opening pick 2 rounds in a row, he was the opening death here as he opened up part of the floor, hopped up on a counter to avoid a C4, and then somebody peeked it and shot him, which he clearly did not anticipate as a potential reality that he had to counter. Then, of course, beyond that, Karn Co struggled to really find much of, well, anything. They tried to open up and move past that kitchen hatch by putting all their Selmas around it. It didn't work. The hatch remained solid. And then Fellwinter, who tried to find an opening in secret, couldn't find anything. And both him and the oil pit player, got shut down. So for Karn Co, there was really not much going for them at all through this round. So even the most mild of improvements would, well, be a long way for how they attacked this previously.
I'm trying to wonder, Carter, as well, the importance of having Mikey alive here, not just to win the opening duel, of course, because that's been a staple in at least round 2 and 3, but just in general to apply more vertical pressure. It just didn't seem as a whole Karn Co had a lot of aspects leading in over through the kitchen side of the map. It seemed like they were very focused on just trying to push in through blue for the most part, and that may be because, the Selmas didn't fully break open the kitchen hatch, and again, Mikey did die and didn't get a lot accomplished there with the vertical play. But I'm wondering if we're going to have more backup for Mikey in the beginning parts of this round in comparison to that, latter end of the round where we finally see Karn Co desperately trying to make ends meet. It seems like we are going to have Mikey have much more, less struggles, I should say, actually, getting that vertical down and some proper pushing coming in through by Karn Co this time around, getting the hatch opened up to burn through more utility in the back of blue and having someone to back up Feltwinter from the very get-go of this blue attack.
Interested to see where Karn opts to put the rest of that breaching torch he has, because if they want to open kitchen, they need to have him use most, if not all of it, to open it up, but I don't think they're looking towards it whatsoever. Instead, he's Mavericked open, well, the 2 hatches that aren't electrified. They haven't brought any other hard breaching to open this up. They have the Selmas, of course, but you need 2 Selmas to use one of these hatches, and I guess they're saving it for down below, but definitely an odd allocation of hard breaching and taking quite a bit of time to open up these 2 hatches, but I guess they'll do this Selma play instead, but again, they've had problems with these Selmas before, John, and they're running into the same thing.
They need to make sure that Taha does not get this next Selma. He's waiting on the second one, actually, just to hard confirm it, I believe, at this point, or just does not want to risk his life in this position. Nope, here's the audio call,
there we
and
go.
The impact is right on the mark. The hatch will not be opened up for a second time unless we see Carnage try to risk his life, but he might not even have enough fuel in the blowtorch to actually get that back hatch opened up. So it's going to be a pretty linear take once again by Karn Co, I would assume. They have some pressure over near the back of main stairs and also that moto hatch, but once again, they are denied of entering through that kitchen hatch.
Not even really able to open up part of this church wall at this point. Triss the first one to fall, though Taha answers back pretty soon after, so it might be a 4v4, make that a 3v3, but Karn Co still having to do more work than TTK has to do, but they're relying on Mikey and Zeno. So far, it's working out. TTK continue keeping it close. Now, Zeno coming in from Oil Pit has 10 seconds to get these 2 kills. Intel on his position. They know exactly where he is, and Tragical swings at the right moment. 2 rounds now for TTK, but all they've won is basement. Can they try to switch it up? Go to CCTV, maybe get another win on the board? We'll have to see in round 5.
Interested to see if for TTK they would want to maybe implement potentially stage and bar, perhaps. I feel like that could be a really big confusing attack for Karn Co altogether, but it looks like they're not going to try to opt for that here so far. Maybe we get a secret surprise on the final round of this first half, or maybe in overtime, as we have jokingly said, TTK like to go to overtime a lot in their matchups here in CL. But for now, it'll remain on CCTV with a pretty normal lineup. They've got the Cade for either the plat wall, the back hatches, whatever you prefer. And we've got a multitude of utility to just strengthen that position over near rafters. So everything looking pretty normal for the defensive side and also for the attack, as well as they have a pretty normal lineup as well going into this top floor site.
I don't know if I'd say they'd like to go to overtime. More so just that they can't help themselves.
Fair
it's
enough.
like they're incapable of... Not incapable. but there's some force at work whenever they play that stops them from sealing out games pretty quick. So I thought they were going to reinforce that, but John, they have layered the right panel with shotgun shots. I have not seen this at all kind of strat in quite a while.
Maybe expecting with Karn Co wanting to get this wall open up immediately, they're going to kind of like bait him, let him have it, and if they just get too fixated on just only peeking these angles, it could still favor TTK. You don't know what hole you need to exactly look through. That could give, the slight advantage over TTK. Yeah, because look at where Mr. B's holding out right now. He's got a vault spot playing right next to the bomb chassis. If anyone plays in that window rappel, looking for somebody, that could be a huge high ground advantage for Mr. B, but he might have just got located by that drone, so potentially not. All that we can say, though, is in the first 50 seconds, Karn Co, at the end of the day, they get the plat wall opened up, and now they are rotating at a very quick manner all the way from bedroom and jacuzzi side, now heading inside the construction as well to go for a slightly unorthodox take, as you would deem it nowadays, with the meta mostly leading more towards a Raptors take.
Yeah, certainly, but no matter which take you're going for, maybe it's my small caster brain, but I really don't know what the benefit is of keeping that wall soft over reinforcing it. Because as you saw, instead of, needing to Maverick, use an exothermic, Feltwinter used an Ash charge. And now the entire wall is open. C4 can't even go out in time as Mr. B C4 is partially himself, but now the con wall is completely open. He'll start getting aggressive, and hey, he catches Mikey off guard. I gotta give him that one. Able to take advantage of a quickly and rapidly developing situation, and is now gonna burn some more time on the side of Karn Co. Just trying to find him, nail down the kid. He'll even retreat back into the site. He doesn't need to worry too much. But again, because of the strat TTK went for, Karn Co have made an exponential amount of progress, and even at the 4v4, for what they've expended, it's pretty awesome to see.
And the only person here on the plat rappel right now is currently Feltwinter. He's not getting all that active. If he was able to actually be on top of the plat balcony position, he can maybe evade Taha and actually kill Mr. B there in that spot. But the general inactivity and how long it took to rotate and set up for information has costed Karn Co quite greatly, as they could have still had a 5-on-4 position, but nope, it's going to just be that equalized spot of the 4-on-4 by a good heads-up gunplay by Mr. B. 40 seconds to go. Raptors still a major issue here once Karn Co actually enter the site, and still no one being dealt with near red as well. It's a huge issue for Karn Co to say the least.
Yeah, Feltwinter could be the difference maker in this round, pushing on in, taking some control. There's still somebody Garage who could stop his entry, but hasn't stopped Whitlock, who's moved in and is putting the bomb down somewhere. It's on that con breach, and nobody's there to stop him. A late impact grenade goes out, and it puts Whitlock to 1 HP. But beyond that, nothing can be said for TTK in this post plant. They weren't able to stop it whatsoever. The first bit of hope is Tragical taking down Feltwinter. You can now rotate and play inside a CCTV safely, but Karn is watching it pretty effectively. Tragical still proving why he's so well known on this TTK roster. He's got 2, but Zeno, just a couple well-placed shots, gives Karn Co their 3rd round.
And the lack of intel as well, no one able to actually stop that plant from going down. It really seemed like it was almost a perfect position to do that, Carter, yet with not hearing that audible cue and more or less focusing on the actual, plat placement of the Ash of Feltwinter and having Carnage as well rotate over in a CCTV window, it was just too much to handle all at the same time for TTK, and they just were too fixated on just one portion of the map and really forgot to take a look at the bigger picture of things, giving that round still to Karn Co. CCTV up again on the drawing board for TTK, and I am maybe expect them to try something a little bit different, perhaps, but no, Triss will immediately run into the plat wall once again and make the exact same holes we saw last time when this site was in play by the defense.
Okay, thank God. Okay, I looked at it. I was like, okay, they're not as systematic as the previous holes. He might just be doing it to make Maverick tricking a little more difficult. Okay.
Yes.
Glad. Love you, Mr. B. Glad we're putting that one back on the shelves. I don't know if that was the play. Now, this time, they'll have to expend more utility and more time to open up that plat wall. Of course, you actually need Karn to Maverick it this time, John, so it will take probably double the amount of time it took Karn Co previously.
Time management could be a pretty big thing to worry about for Karn Co, especially for this round. It was relatively short on the general crunch. And again, if TTK were a bit more focused on actually stopping that plant from going down, it probably would have been successful. Whitlock didn't have a lot of general coverage besides Carnage and Feltwinter playing quite close to one another right outside of CCTV room. So there was still a good chance for TTK to win that round. That's kind of been like the whole storyline of a lot of these rounds in play, is it's more or less the mistakes made by TTK and the capitalization of those errors made by Karn Co. You talked about the slowness of getting this back wall opened up from the plat side, and it seems like it's gone down in just about the same time frame, funny enough, although it took a whole lot more effort in particular by Karn Co. And in general, for the attacking team, it looks like instead of opting their way in through construction side, it seems like they're going for a much more default approach, opening up that back garage wall to maybe going for that pincer attack on the player near rafters.
See Zeno move to maybe cover that pincer, at least hold any peek from bedroom window to allow somebody maybe trying to move into that garage door a little more security. They don't have to worry about anybody jumping out and getting aggressive. Mikey also with those Capital bolts could make quick work of that player on the rafters. You have to worry about the magnets, of course, and well, I also suppose Nice getting aggressive on this garage door, but if you're able to just put down 2 fire bolts, that could be the garage player done and dusted without having to use any of the nades you have remaining. Sadly, though, some lacking of intel or a misplayed gunfight. Whitlock cut down by Nice as he's the first one through the breach. The Jaeger ends up winning it, and Mikey even still suffers some damage from Lounge. Playing inside a swamp, he could get a second kill before dying. They know he's there, and he'll hold off for the moment as Taha goes down to the player, moving in the garage. No utility expended. They might have lost the thermite, but with 2 kills in garage control for free, I honestly might still make that trade.
Great isolation still by Karn Co as well, confirming that man advantage. The long-range angle attempted, but failed by Mr. B. Zeno's there to greet him with that LMG we have coined him with, running so well in past matches, and now this one in particular as well. The hard breach charge will get detonated on the back rafters wall to go open up another entryway here for Karn Co, and the run out being ineffective, giving away that Trist is basically the only person on site for a good chunk of time. This should allow for the defuse to go down. It finally will, but Trist still has all 3 of his smokes in pocket, but it could be a late detonation. Perhaps Zeno seems to stick it, but just barely fails at that. Trist getting down, though, leaving only Tragical in a 1 versus 2, but they have to go gun up as Case is still being relegated onto the floor as of right now. 15 seconds to go, still playing behind both the hard wall and the shield. Wins for 1, and almost a second one as well. Carnage will get down, leaving it in just the 1-for-1 directly between Feltwinter and this Malusi player of Tragical. 3 seconds to go. Case has been retrieved, but there's no time and no coverage. Tragical has to go for the mad dash. There might still be just enough time left. Goes for the swing, and it's cleaned by TTK. The 6th round still being a win, despite things being incredibly close.
Overall, good 1v2 by Tragical, who so far has been the saving grace for TTK, and a lot of these rounds are at least the player you can look to at least be on point where they need to be at any given time, and vast majority of cases. Though I will also have to give some credit to Nice there, able to stop some of that entry into garage, but overall, really, for Karn Co, didn't start taking a lot of damage until moving into that site. Zeno with that, able to shut down the player in cash, basically made TTK forced to try and start getting aggressive, and I suppose it ended up working out, but still for Karn Co, that was just a couple lost gunfights in the late round, and maybe some sloppiness as well, but most of that round was fairly solid.
Looking like they have improved a whole lot during the entirety of that first half, and a 3-3 half is nothing to scoff at as well. I would definitely take that, especially against a team that, you know, statistically speaking, is much better than you as of right now. So I would still not be all too upset if I was currently playing on the side of Karn Co, and now they get to be on the defensive side and head all the way down to the basement and then proceed to make the entire building their own by playing for this incredibly extensive roam game, having the mute, the Mozzie, Vigilant play, etc., etc. We've seen it a million times before, just some slight changes here and there. No castle, of course, but, you know, still some bits of information here and there, and still some major pieces of denial. Got the Malusi as well, so really everything is taken care of here by Karn Co, and, you know, theoretically speaking, this should be a huge time crunch here for TTK, unless they potentially ignore it, perhaps. Saw a drone go down secret. Maybe they're out for a rush, perhaps. Not too sure.
We'll see something nice on a basement attack, John. Some extra hard breach charges in addition to the Maverick and the Ace. Something that Karn Co were sorely lacking on their attacks that TTK now have the benefit of. Of course, that does mean, in all fairness, they are lacking some burn. No flashes on the board, but with no Jaeger, well, don't need to worry about it. Bring those hard breach charges. All the more comfortable for it. Minute now gone as Karn Co, or, well, Whitlock specifically, starting to feel the idea of some pressure coming in from TTK. Some drones coming through, shots nearby. I was about to say, might have the inclination to start moving down, and you'll do just that. Rotate back down the main stairs with about 1 minute and 10 seconds in. There is still Zeno to potentially take one, but oh no! The opportunity to kill Taha escapes him. There's also one inside a master bedroom moving on in. This could be not one, but 2 roamers dealt with. If Tragical plays his cards right, he recovers onto Mikey beautifully and somehow gives TTK the advantage.
Close but no cigar for Zeno, and close and no head left for Mikey apparently against Tragical. Zeno now having to make that decision whether he wants to drop down or not, and oh no, he's caught 2 off guard with the drop down. Brilliant play and even better timing by Zeno, and now Tragical, he's got to get even more aggressive to try to stop this madman currently playing on the first floor and falling back to strip. Zeno, he's already done his job, and now he's basically has been in that role of being the fox in the henhouse for these final 60 seconds, as now TTK have to both worry about the execute and this roaming Mozzie.
Just a thought in the back of their minds, for the rest of this round. How will Karn Co deal with it? Tragical watching right now with the LMG, not actively trying to clear him out, but hoping that Zeno gets over aggressive and he can catch him. Never mind. Drops down into Moto, in tandem with Nice getting a kill, though both him and Trist fall, as it seems like TTK just went for broke and, well, sprinted into every remaining member of Karn Co.
Suppose not having enough information to notice both Zeno and the mute player in the back of Logi, I suppose, allowing quite literally the a chemistry set that just quite favored Zeno to a whole degree, having the perfect concoction to go deal with that full-fledged top-to-bottom clear done by TTK. Now they're looking down at a slight disadvantage to start off their second half. Overall, if their intel game was just a tad bit better, they could have had a much easier job with at least detecting Zeno. Now still, finding him at the ample time to go deal with him, that's a whole another story. We're probably not going to go deboggle this time around, as we have a whole new round to discuss, that being now moved all the way from the bottom floor to the very top. CCTV and cash room has a new site in mind for Karn Co.
Of course, for TTK there, pretty much not only stopped trying to make some progress on the middle floor, but not even getting all the control they needed on the floor they just passed. Ended up both factors just kind of smashing them in the middle as they tried to, well, exist in that round on attack. Here you have a little bit nicer of a privilege. You can take down one area, CCTV, focus on the other in garage, and you can't really get smashed into like we saw Zeno do and, well, the just overall defensive setup do for Karn Co in the previous round. Here we'll see what TTK have to offer. Pretty much not only the exact same kind of lineup they had previously, but also the exact same thing Karn Co have been running this whole time. So wouldn't expect much else beyond some initial control or attempt to open up CCTV and to focus on garage later.
Definitely seems like a fun fact is kind of looming around. Both the former Finca players, Zeno and now Tragical, are doing quite well in the kill department. And it seems like Connor's wishes have most certainly been granted, at least for right now, in terms of having Karn Co be much more gun-oriented in terms of their playstyle. Hoping to continue that trend, potentially going in round number 8, as well as they've got tons of information and a whole heaping extension to try to slow down and maybe get aggressive against TTK at a good time. First minute has been turned and burned, and Whitlock's position is well known at this point, but still hasn't been flushed out just yet. We've got one of the back garage walls opened up as well for TookTheKids, but still haven't made that full commitment just yet, as they are a bit worried that someone might be playing near either the gym window or still wrapped around between both construction and master bedroom to try to go for a cheeky peek and try to kill anybody sitting outside the garage waiting in for that potential util burn.
Tragical starting to make his way on in, not into garage, but into lounge. Whitlock is close by. Maybe to make him regret not looking any closer. Nice gets one, and Tragical tangles with the second, but neither able to land shots on the other. Whitlock runs down for just one singular second, and he probably wishes he had stuck with that play. Tragical decapitates him inside a secret. Now they turn their full attention to clearing out Feltwinter inside a garage. Suffers a little bit of damage from Taha, who starts moving on up, not even waiting for the nades. Again, probably should have played it a little more patient, as they all seem to be lining up for Feltwinter. Switches to the pistols, shuts them all down. 2 rounds now for Karn Co.
And I really have got to, I am incredibly irritated that we just had the Ashe just get way too kill hungry against Feltwinter. He was on the cusp, Carter, the cusp of dying there. 3 people pushing out 1 guy in the top of rafters. No backup in sight for Feltwinter. He is the lone soldier there to die, and he finds 3 with 2 of them lining up with him as he's whipping out the secondary, basically one shot from any of those weapons, yet he still wins every single gunfight and makes this matchup closer and closer towards a victory for Karn Co. But again, they've been making less mistakes in comparison to TookTheKids. And as of now, it seems almost as if TookTheKids are getting in their head too much against Karn Co. And because of that, they just keep being punished left, right, and center. And they just keep losing. Very simplistic setups that TTK are implementing, but just seem to flop or flounder, towards the very end of it.
Now, to be fair, we were in a similar position. The team we all thought was going to win was down, albeit last time was 6-3, this time it's 5-3, was down a couple rounds. And I was like, oh no, we gotta stop predicting, all the same team. That way we can actually get something. So, TookTheKids could still come back. After all, we just saw Aerial Rise come back from a 1 round worse of a scoreline. So maybe they can make it work. TTK will rip open the CCTV wall right now. So a solid start. A vigorous start to clearing out the cache extension. The problem, John, when they've touched an extension so far, they kind of collapse after. So we'll see if this is a all bark and no bite, or if they actually have something behind this.
So far, the setup to try to deal with the people in both top red and also near the cache door looks good. I believe they even have someone playing underneath, which is something Karn Co. kind of moved away from as much as possible in dealing with the player on top of red. So everything looks pretty good, and because of that decent positioning and overall team play, Tragical's going to get the opening duel as a win against Mikey and force Feltwinter back to shield, almost destroyed, but because it isn't, Feltwinter has an ease of access way to go deal with the Finka before it becomes too problematic throughout the rest of this round. The smokes get tossed as well to buy even more time for Karn Co. to set up better against this push, leading overall inside of Cash Room. The drones come flying in, but can they fully spot out every nook and cranny here in next minute 30? That could be the really big deterrent here. That C4 could have been a big problem too, but thankfully it shot out Carter.
Feltwinter is wasting an absurd amount of time here just by existing. ADS now burns the final Ashe charge that Taha had. The Maverick has no grenades. So how are they going to push him? Well, send Nice up red. All right, you're dead. All right, Feltwinter is put to 1 HP, or Taha, excuse me, put to 1 HP, finished off by Whitlock. Karn starts getting in for the fun of it, just because at this point, TTK clearly don't understand how to clear out an extension, so you might as well start getting aggressive on the site. See what Trist can manage to do with 3 flashes in 55 seconds. I don't know if it'll be anything impactful, though, as Karn plays close with the shotgun, and Thermite goes for the peek. He loses it, only somehow puts Trist to 1 HP, but again, John, now surely Karn Co. will finish it off.
Well, that's what we would like to think, but it's the grand scheme of TTK to give way too much false hope and then start cleaning themselves up, moving into the rest of this matchup. Potentially, Chris is just slowly walking up main stairs. He's looking right at the Jaeger, and he gets him.
No.
1 more to find. That's it.
No.
Not fully aware of Xeno's position, though. This could be a huge moment for Xeno just to win this next fight, and he will, no questions asked. Not a single bit of damage dealt to the castle, and match point is at the very least guaranteed for Karn Co. with a 3-round advantage as well after flawlessly holding every single site they went to. Beautiful rotation in the second half by them.
For all the praise and the hype we leveled on TTK going into the day, John, I was really expecting, I don't know, something more from their attack so far. Because, I mean, they're starting out on a perfectly reasonable position. It's gym bedroom defense. Let's attack and clear out cache. Okay, solid. But then as they get the first kill, and as they're sending Tragical up Red Hall, does he watch the rotate? The only avenue by which Feltwinter can rotate onto red? John, did he do that?
No.
Did he do that? No, he did not do that, John.
No,
He did not. He sprayed with the LMG through the wall, giving Feltwinter the opportunity, maybe not Feltwinter, the Goyo, the opportunity to rotate onto red, kill him, and then waste another minute of time. There are just some fundamental misplays individually and even sometimes seemingly strategically on TTK so far that is compounding into failure. And now Karn Co are going to Barn stage.
Some food for thought. Maybe on a much weaker team in comparison to your stature, you don't go to one of the most default maps as a whole, such as Clubhouse, to go face them, and maybe play for more of that comfort position, or at least to make your opponent uncomfortable. But we'll deep dive that potential talking point later when the match is confirmed as over. Again, we saw the comeback arc by Airlerize against Nocturnes on Bank a moment ago. And there's a chance we see that once again. Tragical, yet another opening duel to his stat line. Let's just hope for all the TTK fans in chat it does not get immediately refragged and doubled down on by Karn Co to make it that 4-on-3 we have seen so many times beforehand in this best of one.
Yeah, like, I can't even get excited about that. The man is 13-6. That was a hell of a good shot. But at this point, every time Tragical gets an opening pick, they completely flounder in the execute after. So maybe if Tragical gets a second, or if TTK start, pinching out these roamers up top, I can start feeling a little bit more excited when we have Tragical make those exciting and undeniably good plays, opening up rounds for his team. But this is the part where TTK have fallen. The part that comes after the first kill. They know Feltwinter is behind that shield. Tragical starts pushing and takes a gunfight with the player behind Logistics, and it's not the Logi player that dies. He actually gets involved in the engagement, takes down the Finka. The player behind the shield fell, but nobody's watching Logi. 2 players now gone. Trist focused more on Conwall, which, to be fair, an important position, but all of that ground you gained is now lost.
Xeno just getting active at the right time is going to punish too. Although, one thing to note, it's not the site you would be thinking of, gym and bedroom. It's not the main point of contention for TTK. In all honesty, it's got to be that first floor. Although they have to swallow a pretty big pill at this point is the fact they cannot play for vertical, but they can definitely catch Xeno before he finds a third on this round. The wallbang almost connecting, favoring Nice is not going to be its mark, but still, they've got that slight advantage, and they've got time to drone. A minute left, still 4 drones in pocket, plenty of grenades. Really, everything is looking swell for them to get this plant down. They just need to make sure they take their time and don't make things too complex for themselves.
Good nade by Mr. B. Oh, nope, never mind. It missed the shield. So, actually bad nade, unfortunately. Now, Karn, basically, the one safe spot you could play to deny stage on this site, now he can play behind because that nade missed. Has one more toxic canister as well. Will choke out the breach for a few more seconds, but he's down before he can detonate it. Now, Mikey, well, found out by Mr. B pretty quick after Karn ends up falling. TTK finally gets something good going on their attack, their first round of the half, but it came on Barn stage. How will they do on a real site?
That is a good point. And what I was going to make up as well, I did mention for a second there's a chance, a slight one at that we could potentially see Bar at some point. I didn't think it'd be by Karn Co when they were up 6-3. That really did seem like a, hey guys, we're up 3 rounds. Let's just, try this in a live game and just see if it works. And well, it didn't, although it almost did because Xeno was not being contested properly in that top floor. Anyways, we've seen how well they can play on Church, on CCTV, on Gym. So they've got all of these golden sites to pick, and now it's once again in the ballpark of TTK, like you and I have now mentioned, to completely change their playstyle. They did it once, but they need to do it 2 more times to at the very least guarantee overtime, and if that happens, I guess the point that we kept jokingly mentioned is going to be true, that TTK, they just love to go overtime and then begin to fire on all cylinders after they've gone past that plus 12 round threshold.
I mean, I told you, didn't I? I said it.
Yeah, and
they
like
can't help themselves.
The angsty teen, I will have to just go, whatever, and be wrong again. I'm very disappointed about it.
You should know the first rule of any broadcast. You cannot reuse a joke. What is this?
Oh my.
This amateur hour? Gotta come up with a new bit.
I would make another joke and double down, but I won't. I won't do it.
Fair. Fair enough.
Hold my tongue.
Speaking of doubling down, Karn Co. They'll double down, John. Going with the same setup they had previously. That's what we also call in the business a segue. transitioning from one topic to another, much like how TTK have struggled to transition from an early round into anything meaningful. This time around, Taha and Mr. B moving in through Strip to try and take down Whitlock inside a bar. Will it be successful? They've got the pieces going, they've got some vertical, got some players coming in from the west as well, but with somebody on main and a lot of heavy focus on bar, will they get too tunnel vision and end up falling to any number of these defenders?
Say no one's pushing in from bar just yet, but if that were to be a main idea for TTK, they've got Zeno to worry about, but no longer is Whitlock going to be an issue because Tragical, once again, just adding another +1 to his entry stat, is going to go 14 and 7. Let's hope he can remain alive past these next 30 seconds or so to do a little bit more damage. Goes for the nade toss as they spot out Zeno on that top floor, but it does not connect, and the drone gets destroyed in the process. Mikey finds one onto Taha, but at least Tragical is actually able to deal enough damage to kill the second roamer. And Mikey being very low from that past engagement, things could quickly turn in that 4v2, and really, TTK are almost perfectly set up to hit the site very soon.
They're looking okay, but Mikey's still on the roam. He's only 1 HP. Tragical, all he has to do is just not whiff.
Oh, no,
okay, well, he was on drone, as you said, so, unfortunate timing there for the Finka as Mikey hops down, gets his one, but even though Tragical might have died in, admittedly, a very silly way, at least silly just because it looked funny, a minute remaining, Karn and Feltwin are the only ones alive. Karn might even have 3 smoke canisters, 30 seconds of denial in his back pocket. TTK still should be able to move on in. They've got Mr. B with those nades to destroy the mute jammer on Church Wall. They can put 1 or 2 of those exothermics down, even if they get switched up on it. It still is a winnable round for TTK and still potential for a comeback. Even have Mr. B on the Maverick to open up a small hole, send in that nade. Can he land it, of course? That is to be determined. A lot of time being wasted by the attempt to open up this church wall, and it's not really working out so far. Exothermic finally goes down. Maybe Karn can reposition, play behind this bar, play close with that shotgun, or just peek up with the SMG-11. Switches to the shotgun in time and somehow wins it. Felt and Trist in the 1v1. They know where he is. They know the Malusi's around the corner. He goes for the kill. The Felwinner watching wins it in the end. A blunder by TTK on their attacking halves. They give Karn Co one of the few wins they've gotten in stage 1.
A well-deserved one, I've got to admit, for Karn Co. That one has to feel amazing, to say the least. But I have a small question to ask Carter. I might have missed it.
I won't have an answer.
But did TookTheKids get the hatch open in kitchen? Did they? I'm very sure that they did, which is why I'm going to segue into this one question I have. But I just want a confirmation by you, in case you were aware of that or not.
I want to be honest, John. I was wondering about a lot of things that were going to happen in that round, and the kitchen hatch was not one of them. I was wondering, is Tragical going to get the opening kill for nothing again? Which, by the way, the answer in this time was yes.
Because with plenty of hard breach to get that hatch opened up, if it was not opened up, and with no util to stop them when they drop down kitchen, why did they not go for a kitchen push? Why did they go triple wall? There were 2 people there.
You gotta open the wall sometimes. He had 2 exothermics.
No, you do not. Carter, you don't.
You gotta open up the wall. You gotta do it.
It's
funny,
funny,
do what you gotta do.
but it is also not funny.
I thought
TTK previously just beat one of, at the time, the best team in CL, and then they lose to Karn Co, which is like one of the worst as of right now. Like that is just that is goofy behavior. I have to admit.
We'll see. We'll see what the analyst desk thinks. Was this a goofy loss by TTK or a great win by Karn Co? Jim, Connor, CJ, explain it to us.
Which one of you two has the Advil? Because I have a bit of a headache right now. CJ, okay, you know what? Let's look at the positives. Karn Co, they got themselves a little farther away from that relegation spot with this victory. Let's be positive.
Yeah, I'll take the positives. I'll leave the negatives to CJ. So, positives. Karn Co did look a little bit more active and a little bit more comfortable. Seemed like the old Carnage B let off the reins just a little bit. Zeno not getting cleared upstairs. Zeno gets the green light. He goes, yeah, go kill him, Zeno. And overall, even when Feltwinter started off this game incredibly slow, as soon as the defensive side went through, he went kind of crazy. A lot of rounds were really close, and you should argue that TTK could have taken them if they didn't make massive mistakes. However, you can't fault Karn Co for closing out a game in regulation, especially when they're taking advantage of said mistakes on the side of TTK.
So, Cookies, the negative takes apparently are left to you.
I'm gonna try to keep this, as PG-13 as possible. If I'm tragical, I would be looking for. I would be doing some recruiting. I would try to get some. There's a red. Listen, I'm gonna just go down the list. There's a red dot thermite player. Trist, what are you doing? TPA's running Ash over Zoph. That makes 0 sense. Other than just. Who said it was? I think it was Lick said it just goofy. That's just straight up goofy. Sorry. Not nice. He's dying early a lot on defense. I guess he made up for it somewhere. Mr. B. It was just the attacks were so lazy at times. How are you gonna? Mr. B looked like he was sipping a bottle of Ciroc in the bar when there was a roamer above him. He's just mapping. He's sipping and maving the hatch as if.
With his teammate next to him playing Clash Royale on his phone.
I don't know. That was you know how I said that? I think it was the Outlast Cafe game. Stunk. That one stunk more. That was the word. That was sorry. Teach K, get a grip.
Okay, well, that was one bad one for them. Maybe we'll give them this one. Time will tell with the rest of the stage, with the rest of the year. But right now, it's time to interview a player from the winning team. And once again, we got Mikey. We always love when Mikey's in the house with us. Mikey, congratulations. You guys inching your way away from that relegation spot. That's got to be a little bit more comforting knowing that you have a bit of padding in the points now.
For sure. To be honest, the past couple of weeks, we've just been playing awful. And it showed, obviously. And feels good getting a win again. So it's up from here, I guess.
Now, I mean, there's always things to dissect with the game, but one thing that I noticed with your team's game today is you were very good at hopping on the mistakes that the other team that TookTheKids were making. Did you notice that with your team?
I mean, we just have really good players. Zeno and Felt went huge couple of rounds. They were just getting picks randomly. I don't even know where they were getting kills from, and it worked out on our favor. But also, I think we trolled maybe 2 or 3 rounds. So honestly, it was a trolling on both ends, honestly.
Now, were you guys, one of the things we talked about on the desk before it was talking about going to Clubhouse. We all started to say, as soon as we saw Clubhouse come up, we were like, this is a map that if Karn Co is going to do it, it's on this map. Were you guys pretty happy to see it come up?
I mean, we had our 3 maps that we knew we were going to take them on, and they just forced us on Club. So we just said whatever, we felt confident, and we stuck them on it, and it worked out.
Well, congratulations once again, inching your way away from the bottom. Congratulations again, Mikey.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest here.
Yeah.
A Mikey interview always does take the edge off. I was a little bit angry at this game, but a
Mikey's sweet little face really eased the mood, honestly, because I'm so tired of these teams. I don't think I understand.
Okay, but I will say this about the day. Yesterday, obviously, we had a super exciting day, but I feel like it kind of went the way that we thought the day was gonna go. Today, you could argue that the excitement's been in the unpredictability, and it's been wild so far. So that sets us up for that 5th match. In a few minutes, we'll come back to LSR and Aqualix, 2 teams that I don't know what to expect from either of these 2 teams all staged so far. So grab your drinks, go to the washroom, whatever you got to do. We'll be back in a few minutes with that 5th and final match.